This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, hi guys. Welcome to our Cooking with Powdered Milk class today. I hope it is going to be something that you get some good information from, that it's useful for you. If you want more classes like this, let me know, and I can keep coming up with topics to help educate you about food storage. So if you don't know me, my name's Jody. I run the blog foodstoragemadeenasy.net. I've done that for going on 13 years. So I'm kind of, I don't call myself an expert at food storage. I've just done it for a long time. And I feel like I'm good at organizing and making things approachable for regular people, because sometimes it can feel overwhelming. And cooking with powdered milk is one of those things that can feel overwhelming. And I don't ever want people to think, oh, I have to make my own cheese out of powdered milk to be able to do food storage. Like, no, you don't have to. But is that a cool trick that you can do? Yeah, sure. So we're going to talk about all that kind of fun stuff today. And I just want to let you know, there is some milk on sale that's this month, and that kind of started this whole thing. So I'm a consultant for Thrive. I have Thrive team members, and so some of you may have been invited from them, but I've just had a lot of questions on, like, how do we actually use this? Like, I know I'm supposed to store it, but I need more info, because people think powdered milk and they think yuck. So if you were invited by somebody else, welcome. And if you were invited by me, a lot of you are in my Facebook group and going through the 30-day prepping projects challenge with me this month, and today was using powdered milk. So kind of got a lot of stuff going on, but that is where we're at. And I am going to start a little PowerPoint, and then I'm going to show you all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to like sit and show you and do my PowerPoint. So I'm going to get my screen to share. Share window, this window. Krista, can you let me know if you can see my PowerPoint?
Yes, we can. We're good.
Okay. And can you still see my face too?
Yes.
Okay. So am I really tiny?
You are. You are tiny off to the right.
Okay. So if I'm going to show stuff, I'll try to get out of PowerPoint mode. So I'm just going to leave it on this so it's easier to get it in and out. So this is our topic, cooking with powdered milk. We're going to go over kind of like the boring, pardon?
Do you want to do the slide view? You've got it in normal view.
I know. I think it'll be easier to jump in and out.
Okay.
From this. Can you see it okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
So we're going to kind of go over some of the boring stuff, but I asked everyone in the Facebook group, like, what are your questions that you have about powdered milk? And so within this presentation, I'm going to try to answer all of that. So, and if I miss anything, or if you have questions that come up, pop them in the chat, and Krista will help moderate that for me. She is my my battle buddy with me today. So, types of powdered milk. Now, I actually got asked, what's the difference between powdered milk and dry milk? They are the same. They're interchangeable. It is, powdered milk is dry milk. Basically, it is milk that has had the water content removed from it through a drying process. I read a big old article about how they do that. It's very complicated. We don't need to talk about that here. But powdered milk is dried milk. Now, there are different kinds of powdered milk. So the two main ones that you'll probably hear about is instant milk versus regular milk. Instant milk and regular milk actually have pretty much the same nutritional contents, same shelf life. The only difference is instant milk has been processed a little bit more. It's broken apart into a little bit smaller pieces so that it can dissolve more easily. And I'm going to show you a demonstration of that in a little bit. And then regular powdered milk is just, it's gone through the same drying process. It's just not as refined. So it's a little bit harder to dissolve, and it's usually a little bit denser. So a lot of times in the instructions, you might only need 2 tablespoons of regular milk and 3 tablespoons of instant milk to make a cup of milk. But depends on the brand, depends on your can. So always read your cans. Then there's also non-fat versus whole. So the typical food storage ones that you're going to store are non-fat powdered milk because they have a long shelf life. As soon as you add the fat content back in to the process, then you're going to get only like 9 months to maybe a year shelf life for whole powdered milk. Now, some people really need that and want that. If you do want to store that, that's great, but you have to be really on top of your rotation. So non-fat is typically what we're going to store. And you can always do things to add a little bit of fat back in or to add a little bit of thickness back in, because it does have more of a consistency of like a skim milk. But if you add more milk powder, then you can get it to be more of a texture of like a 1% or 2%. And then there's other milk powders we're going to touch on a little bit today. There's a buttermilk powder. There are milk alternatives, which is powdered milk, but with a lot of additives added. So it tastes good. It adds in some fake fats, I guess you could say. There are some uses where it might be good, and it is a good taste if you want to drink it. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. And then coconut milk powder. So if you have a dairy allergy or lactose intolerant, anything like that, coconut milk powder is an option. It can be used to make all the things we're talking about today and have them be dairy free. Coconut milk powder will not give you equivalent to like a can of coconut milk, which is thick and creamy and delicious, because again, it doesn't have the additives that a coconut milk can has. I think it has like xanthan gum and some of that stuff that thickens it, and probably more fat as well. So it will be more like a thin, regular milk. So that is the main types we're going to talk about. Here's some questions that were asked. Shelf life. So I did touch on that already, but if you want, and I can make these slides available, so I just wanted to have it all in one place for you here. So typically non-fat instant and non-instant will be 20 to 25 years. The milk alternative is usually 20 years. Whole milk, 9 months to 1 year. But once you open things, so then you lose that shelf life. So I actually have a can of milk alternative that I'm going to show you, and I realized I opened it probably 10 years ago. It is not good anymore. So if you're going to open something, make sure you use it, and we'll talk about that too. And again, the whole milk is not going to give you that 1 year, because that's sealed shelf life is 1 year. So you're looking way shorter than that in the cupboard. You can also extend those if you stick it in the freezer. So some usage tips. If you are cooking with powdered milk, now I like cooking with non-instant powdered milk because it tends to be a little bit cheaper because it is processed less. So it's cheaper to make, and it works fine in baking. So if you want to keep 2 cans open, totally up to you. Sometimes it's very nice to just only store one kind of milk. So it's kind of a personal preference, but I have had a lot of success cooking with non-instant powdered milk. You just add the dry powder with the dry ingredients, and then add however much water you need to the wet. So if it calls for a cup of milk, you would add 3 tablespoons or 2 tablespoons of milk powder when you're doing your dry stuff, and then add 1 cup of water when you're adding your wet ingredients. And that tends to work well in most recipes. For drinking, just a little pro tip: if your kids or your husband or wife think that powdered milk is disgusting, like my mom used to say, we always knew when times were tough because mom pulled out the powdered milk and we eat. So, but you can sneak into your kids. You can do half and half, like once you have half a gallon left, the rest with powdered milk. I've done that many times. Or you can simply add a teaspoon of vanilla and sugar and then refrigerate. So that's per gallon of milk. So that just gives it a little bit of a yummier taste. And anything cold is going to be better. Like you're going to drink really warm milk anyways. So those are a couple pro tips for you. And this is what I want to get into. So I think I'm going to flip back and forth, but you can screenshot this. Actually, that might be my recipe. So one of the things I love about food storage is you can store one food for many purposes, or I love items that you can do that with. So I love tomato powder because you can store tomato powder and make tomato sauce, tomato soup, tomato spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce, tomato paste. So anything, tomato juice. So powdered milk is the same. So you don't have to store buttermilk powder or buttermilk or evaporated milk cans or sweetened and condensed milk. You don't have to store all of that. You can make it all with your powdered milk. So we're going to go over how to make each of these 3 things today. So buttermilk, evaporated milk, and sweetened condensed milk. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So I'm going to go back, stop sharing my window here. I'm going to do a big screen. Any questions I need to answer yet?
Nope, you're good.
Are you guys going to be quiet tonight? Sometimes I like it when you're chatty.
Hi, Jody.
Okay.
Quick question about the whole milk. I just joined in. So it has a shorter life. Is that what you're saying? Once you open it, it's only good for for a shorter time?
It has a shorter shelf life unopened. So it's kind of like brown rice versus white rice, like, or it will only get like 9 months to a year shelf life.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so just watch out for rotation on that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you guys is instant milk. I can't see myself. Let's see. Do I show up big for you guys?
Yes, you do.
For some reason, I was stuck on a black screen. So here is what instant powdered milk looks like. This is from Thrive, and I'm going to show you. So we'll put 3 tablespoons in 1 cup here. 1, 2, 3. And then I also have, so Thrive used to sell non-instant powdered milk. So I have an old can of that. It actually doesn't look too different in the cans, but you can tell when you start to use it that it's a little bit different. And they're actually the same ratios, the 3 tablespoons per cup. So a lot of recipes, so the recipes I put in there are for instant milk. So if you're using a non-instant milk and yours calls for only 2, you could get away with using a little bit less of powder. So I'm just going to show you this, the difference, and you can kind of see the instant milk is already starting to come down and settle in, and the non-instant is just sitting on top of the cup there. So I'm just going to let that set for a second. And then I want to show you guys, this is the milk alternative. So when I first was testing a lot of powdered milks, I didn't realize there was a difference because we were young and didn't know things. And I was like, oh, this is delicious. I could actually drink this. Well, guess what is in this is sweet whey, creamer, dipotassium phosphate sugar, monodicglycerides, polysorbate, sodium silicoluminite, tetrasodium pyrophosphate, soy lecithin, non-fat milk is finally in there, sugar, guar gum, vitamin A, and vitamin D. So it has a lot of extra stuff. So if you were cooking with this, you wouldn't want to add all that, like the oils and sugars and whatever. It's going to mess with whatever you're cooking. So if you're going to drink it and your kids are picky, it's a good alternative. But it also, you can see it's, and mine is old, like I said, it's like 10 years old, but it's kind of like a yellowish color. So I wouldn't mind keeping a can sealed just for if you have picky eaters that won't drink regular milk, but it is not super my favorite. So now I'm going to show you, so I'm going to shake up this instant milk. So I just do a shaker cup and it reconstitutes just fine. Like, it's not grainy, it's not lumpy, it's awesome. And so now we're going to make buttermilk. So do you ever have a recipe and all of a sudden you realize you need buttermilk and you don't, like, I never keep it on hand. If I buy it, it always goes bad before I can use the whole thing. And I love making like buttermilk pancakes or muffins or whatever. So this is another pro tip. You just, and you can do this with regular milk too, but it's awesome with powdered milk. Just do a tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar. Stick it in there with your milk. Shake it up and let it set for 5 minutes, and it'll start to barely like sour or curdle. Like, it won't really be curdled milk, but you'll start to see it sticking to the sides. Like, it is a little bit sour. So that's how you make buttermilk. Now this is the non-instant powdered milk, and you can kind of see how there's little chunks and flakes on the sides. So to me, like, I'm not going to want to just drink that straight. It's hard to tell in the picture, but can you guys see? So you'd have to shake it a lot. If you want to blend it up, you can. So like, again, if you choose to store non-fat, non-instant milk, you can. You just might have to fiddle with it a little bit more than if you stored the instant. So even though I shook it pretty good, I'm still seeing quite a lot of chunks in there. So that's the non-instant. That is our buttermilk. No, yeah, buttermilk. I got a lot going on here. So now I'm gonna make evaporated milk. So one thing I wanted to bring up real quick is people always think that doing food storage is expensive, and sometimes it can be, but I love when I can find ways to save money. So if you ever go and buy like evaporated milk, or especially sweetened condensed milk at the store, like how much is one little can? Like I just looked up, like sweetened condensed is $2.99 a can at my grocery store right now. And I was looking at someone else's blog, and they had done like the cost on it, and it was like $1.60 to make it yourself. So you can do little things, or make your own bread, or do things to save money that can kind of help you, you know, use that money towards buying some of the food storage items that maybe don't save you as much money, or just kind of help put a little money back in your pocket. So I think someone said it looks watery. Are you saying that the milk looks watery? So again, this, like I said, is about the consistency of like a skim milk. So if you want to do, and I don't know how, if I measured super closely, but you can always add more milk powder to thicken your milk to your. So I'm going to show you evaporated milk. Now, what evaporated milk is basically a condensed milk. So it's had about 60% of the water removed from it. And so the way you make evaporated milk is you're going to put 1.5 cups. I'm making a mess. 1.5 cups water. So this is on that spreadsheet. With 1 cup of milk powder. So it's a much more concentrated. I lost my 1 cup. It's much more concentrated. So normally for 3 or for 1.5 cups, you would do like 4.5 tablespoons. So I'm doing 4 times that amount of powder. So I'm going to do 1 cup of powder in there with the 1.5. That's what my recipe said, right? You guys always do recipes on your phone. Okay. So I did warm water. I'm just going to blend it super quick. And you can see this is a much thicker. So this is evaporated milk. It's going to be the consistency and flavor of a dense milk, a condensed milk, but not a sweetened condensed milk. So I'm going to show you the difference of evaporated milk in a can. So this is what it looks like from a can. This is just a small can, but this amount I made should be the equivalent of a big can, but when I blended it. So you can do either less if you want to measure out for how much you need. So probably what I have in this cup would be about like one of those 10 ounce or 11 ounce, whatever they standard come in. So it's the same thick consistency. But homemade, you don't have to store cans of evaporated milk that have a much shorter shelf life than your 20 years. I have cans of this that go bad in my cupboard all the time. Okay, this one is best by March 23. That's pretty good. That means I bought it in this house probably. So I'm gonna make sweetened condensed milk, but I realized I forgot to get my butter out. So 1 second, I'll be right back. Did you know that you have to make sweetened condensed milk with butter and sugar? That's how come it's so delicious. Have you ever licked it out of the can? Whenever I'm cooking with it, I'm like, oh my gosh, how is this milk so good? So I'm gonna just melt my butter because I don't ever keep softened butter on the pan. And I'm gonna show you how to make it. So give me 1 second. And in the meantime, while we're getting ready, I'm gonna talk the next slide. I'm actually gonna dump this out and we're gonna make our next milk soon. So get ready for that. We're gonna pop back to slides. La la la. Share screen. This will be a sneak peek of what's next. So the next thing I want to talk about, so make sure you have these screenshotted. We're going to go over the sweetened condensed milk next because it's delicious. And then I want to talk about, so people were asking about this a lot, like what can you actually make with powdered milk? And I kind of was thinking to myself, like, I don't actually make these things with regular milk, and you don't have to. So I'm not like your life, your time of life changes. My mom says like for everything there's a season, you know, like it's not my season to make homemade yogurt and homemade bread and homemade cheese all the time, but I love doing it every now and then to practice and know that I can in an emergency. So again, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like learn a skill, learn how to do it, and then you can have that skill for the future, but don't like beat yourself up if you're not always making homemade yogurt. So I wanted to show you this because this is an Instapot recipe, which is awesome. And I just discovered this. I didn't realize my Instapot has, can you see my screen? I'll show you when I go off, but it has a yogurt button. And I'm like, who's ever gonna make yogurt in their Instapot? And then I started wondering if I could make it with powdered yogurt or powdered milk. And you totally can. So on this recipe, you do 2 quarts of water with or 2 quarts of the prepared milk. So it's 8 cups of water, 3/4 cup milk powder, and then you don't put in the non-fat yogurt yet. So on your Instapot, there's a cycle. So on mine, it's going to be little, but if you click yogurt and then click adjust, it shows a little boil sign right there, and that'll get your yogurt to a temperature like right before boil, so like to 180 degrees. Then you can test it. And so then so I'll give you guys a copy of these slides. I'll email them out after, or you can screenshot it now, but I just want to kind of go over it. So you test it, and I actually did it without even testing because my thermometer was out of batteries. So I just was like, we're going to wing it and see if it works because I'm crazy like that. So then you let it stand for 5 minutes after that boil cycle's finished. Now, it says like it can take an hour, but mine has always been like maybe 30 minutes at the most. So just be around the Instapot because you don't want to let it go too long and maybe scorch it or something. So then you want to let it cool down to 105 to 115. So you can do that on the counter for about an hour, or you can set your Instapot liner inside a big bowl of ice, and then it'll only take about 15 minutes. And then you'll start to see this big layer of like foamy, yucky stuff. So you skim all of those bubbles off and discard it. Now, I had read a lot of stuff that said you can't make yogurt with the non-fat yogurt because it needs the fat in it, but it worked fine. But it looks like maybe it makes more of that skim, like more of the bubbles, so there's more waste if you don't have any fat content. So you could use whole milk powder for that. I'm not sure if you could experiment with adding some fat back into it, but I will talk about that in a little bit with the cheese. But I just did it with my plain instant yogurt and it was totally fine. So then you have to whisk in either yogurt. It has to be plain. It can't be flavored. Like plain non-fat yogurt. I just use like Great Value brand non-fat yogurt and use 3 tablespoons and whisk it all in. Or you can use your yogurt cultures. So you just need to, if you buy a yogurt culture, you'd have to use their instructions to see how much for like 2 quarts of milk. Whisk it in and then put it back in the Instapot. And then if you push the yogurt button again, on mine this time it just goes to 8 hours at normal temperature and it just warms it. It keeps it at a very low temperature, warms it for 8 hours. And after the 8 hours, I opened it and it looked a little bit separated, like kind of like if sour cream sits for too long and there's like a little thin layer of liquidy on top. Kind of looked like that. I just stirred it up and then stuck it in the fridge with plastic wrap and sat overnight. And in the morning, I had yogurt. So I'm going to go to big screen. Can you see me big? Look at my awesome yogurt. So it's like legit yogurt. Now, I don't really eat non-fat plain yogurt by itself anyways. So I tasted it. I was like, well, that's not very delicious yogurt. But after it's done, you can add sweetener, you can add fruit, you can add vanilla. So I kind of love that it, like, I can add whatever sweetener I want. So if you don't like refined sugars, you can add a little bit of honey. If you know, are trying to lose weight, you could maybe add stevia. I used to sprinkle stevia on my non-fat yogurt. So, or even you just throw fruit in, you could throw freeze-dried fruit in, you could put it on granola. So I was pretty proud of myself for making yogurt. I'm just gonna say. Now I'm probably not gonna do it like every day, but I was pretty happy. So I don't know if you guys saw when it was little, but there's my yogurt button right there. I think most Instant Pots have that yogurt setting. So if yours doesn't, maybe you gotta ask for a new one for Christmas. Just kidding. Okay, I'm gonna finish my sweetened condensed milk. I have seen a couple different recipes for this, but this one seems to be the most common. I'm out of everything today. This is the worst. You ever have one of those days where you go around like a crazy person and my son thought he left his shin guards at soccer practice? But yes, we didn't. They were in the car with his sister, so we drove all the way back there for nothing while I was trying to get ready for my class. So keeping my bad days today. Okay, so sweetened condensed milk, you're going to have a 1/4 cup of butter. I don't really know if it makes a difference if it's melted or softened or whatever, but I figured frozen probably would. And then a cup of milk powder, 3 cups of sugar. Not 3 cups, 3/4 cup. But I'm pretty darn close. Oh, that's close enough. Good thing I have more sugar in my basement. That's why we do food stores, right? So 3/4 cup sugar. So if you ever wondered why sweetened condensed milk tastes so delicious, that is why. So so you want your water to be boiling, and now I started like a cup of water boiling, but really you want to start with about a 1/3 cup, and then you'll gauge the consistency and see. And since I use melted butter, it might be thin enough already, but you can always add a little bit more. So
Is that powdered sugar or regular sugar?
it was just regular sugar. You can also use brown sugar if you want your sweetened condensed milk to be kind of like caramely flavored, almost like a dulce de leche. So there's like a lot of different options you can do with it. So now my water's not boiling anymore. Look at it. It's almost boiling. So I'm going to put a 1/3 cup in. Blender up. So you can see it's actually a pretty good thick, gooey consistency. I probably wouldn't add any more to this. I'm gonna pour it in the cup. So think about how much. Okay, can you see that? So if you have any recipes that call for sweetened condensed milk and you don't have it on hand, I could have blended it a little bit longer, but this is pretty good. It's almost like syrup, like a thick syrupy consistency.
I'm on my phone, so I can't text, but did you add vanilla? Because your recipe says vanilla.
I forgot to add vanilla. It's soft. I mean, you can add it or not add it. You could do vanilla powder if you wanted to. Yeah. It does have vanilla, but I have made it without vanilla before. And it's fine too. So I'm going to show you this compared to, I'm opening on my phone. The regular, so watch, this one's a little bit thicker, but it's going to be pretty similar consistency. So again, you can mess with it if you're like, oh, I wish it was a little thicker, you just add more milk powder. But so you've got your sweetened condensed milk there. You got mine there. They're both like a thickest, I don't know how to say that word. I don't know what it is. But it's a thick, gooey consistency. And this is about as much as, probably a little bit more than what would you need for a 14-ounce can, which is what most recipes call for. So that is sweetened condensed milk. Now we got 2 more tricks to show you, and then we'll be done with the cooking part. Sorry, I'm licking my fingers, and now I gotta touch my computer screen. Okay, maybe. So our last recipe, nope, second last recipe. This one is ricotta cheese. So I have posted a link to this because someone asked about making cheese. Now, I think that you can actually make mozzarella cheese, but it's a lot more complicated. This was super easy. So all you have to do, and I tried this actually today because I wanted to see if it would work. Just doing that same first setting on my Instant Pot, the boil function. And I just did it for a little bit longer. I didn't actually test anything, so it might not have been quite hot enough, but it's something you could possibly try. The first time I made this, I just did it on the stove. And as soon as it was just starting to boil, I pulled it off. So as soon as your milk with your milk powder mixed in starts to boil, you add lemon juice and then any salt or butter that you want to add for flavor for your cheese. And let that stand for 15 to 20 minutes. And then you'll basically see like curdles, like curds and whey. Like this is what from the nursery rhyme. And I was so shocked when I first made this. Like this is what curds and whey actually is. It's so weird and gross. Like why would she be eating this? So it's like little white gross clumps on the bottom, and then the whey is like a yellowy whitey liquid on the top. And so you want to stray that all out. Now I know there are things people will use whey for. I don't really know what I would use it for yet, but they always say to save it. Maybe other people have some ideas, but I basically just dumped it. And then you strain it. So I have a strainer that has pretty little holes, and then I just kind of push the cheese, push the curds into it and get out as much of the whey as I can. And it makes basically a pretty legit ricotta cheese. Now, if you have cheesecloth or you want to use an old t-shirt and squeeze it out and really get all that liquid out, you can, but I love this and the ricotta. So I just made a batch of this so I can show you. Pop back to big real quick. Sorry, I'm in and out so much. So there's a lot of whey and a little bit of curds. So it does feel a little bit wasteful, but you didn't put that much milk powder in to begin with. So this is, and I haven't really messed with it and squeezed it out a lot, but this looks pretty much like what ricotta cheese looks like when I buy it at the grocery store. And there's another one that this is kind of almost free. Like it was a cup and a half of milk powder. So I guess maybe it was like $2. It's totally ricotta. I made a lasagna using this. It was delicious and creamy and good. So in this recipe, I did use the oil because it's supposed to help the curds and whey separate more. At least that's what I read. So it makes me wonder if you could use a little bit of oil in the yogurt to make up for it being non-fat. But I don't know that I'd want to eat oil in my yogurt. So there's that. Oh, one other thing with the evaporated milk, you will use that in like hearty recipes, not sweet. So sweet and condensed is always for desserts. So even though they're both condensed milks, you want to make sure that if you're using it for something that needs like a thick milk, you're not making the wrong one. I just want to remind you that. Because sometimes people get it mixed up or think that they're interchangeable because they're both condensed milks, but they are not. So yeah, that's my ricotta cheese. I made cheese and yogurt in the last couple of days. It makes me feel like a pretty good like little housewife when I do that. And again, like I said, I am not doing this all the time. I don't have time to make cheese and yogurt all the time, but I love that when I do have time that I can learn a skill, practice a skill, and it's something that uses my food storage, and it can save money. Like those little tiny containers of ricotta are super expensive. So that answers that question that yes, you can make cheese. Now mozzarella is a much more in-depth process. It uses a lot more ingredients because you have to get that cheese to be a lot firmer. From what I was reading, you can do it with powder milk. I think probably, again, it would work better with maybe the whole milk powder. So if anybody wants to experiment with that and let us know if it works, you let me know. I'm gonna go back to the screens one more time. And this is the last one, and I don't have an example of this, but I just want to talk about it. This is kind of more of a, I think it was like an old-fashioned, not old-fashioned, but maybe like 10 years ago, this was really popular. So we used to do like a blogging with our friend Crystal from Everyday Food Storage. If any of you remember her, she has a really good cookbook, and she was all about the magic mix. She loved the magic mix. And basically it's like a white sauce powder that you can use for all kinds of things. You can use it for gravies, desserts, whatever. So the idea is you have this ready. So you mix 4 cups of milk powder. That's instant milk. If you're using non-instant, I would do like 2.5 maybe. Again, because like the 2 tablespoons versus 3 per cup, whatever. And then a cup of butter and a cup of flour. Now what's nice is you can use gluten-free flour, and then all of a sudden you have a white sauce that's gluten-free, which I do that all the time. But it's a little bit annoying sometimes to have to make it from scratch every time. So this way it's just sitting in your fridge. Now this uses regular butter. So you mix it all up in a large bowl, and it kind of gets the consistency of like a gritty cornmeal. And you can store it in the fridge for like 6 months or however long you would store butter in the fridge. And you just pull it out and use it whenever you need it. Now you can use butter powder. So you would use a cup of butter powder. You would just have to add probably a little bit more water each time you're going to use it, because about a cup of butter powder needs maybe like 3 tablespoons of water to reconstitute it to like a thickish butter consistency. But then you can keep that in your pantry. You don't have to worry about fridge space, and use that for, I mean, in your pantry 1 to 2 years usually for those ingredients. So some of the ways you can use your magic mix is like for a white sauce or gravy. So you can do like 1/3, 1/2, or 2/3 cup of the powder for 1 cup of water. And that just totally depends on how thin or thick you want to make it. So if you're doing like a sauce or like a soup base, like a potato soup, you might want to do the thinner one. If you're doing a chicken gravy, then you might want to do the thicker one because you want it to be a thick, yummy gravy on your potatoes. And then the beauty is you take that kind of formula and you can add to it. So if you want to make cream of chicken soup, then you can do the same thing. However thick you want it, just add that much magic mix, a cup of water and a teaspoon of chicken bouillon. So you could make cream of anything soup. If you want cream of mushroom, you could do some freeze-dried mushrooms in there. If you want cream of celery, you could powder some celery powder or just celery salt or whatever you want to do. So there's totally unlimited options that you can do for that. You can make a cheese sauce. So again, just do your mix, make it probably a little bit thinner, and then add shredded cheddar cheese. You can use freeze-dried if you reconstitute it first, and then just melt it all together, and it's going to make a yummy cheese sauce. You can get broccoli in, or use it to make a homemade mac and cheese with like real cheese, and it's easy and it's a little bit healthier. It's still using like white flour, some butter, and milk. Like, so it's homemade though, it's from scratch. So that is an awesome way to use powdered milk. And it can be, you can also use it for a lot of desserts. And if you search like magic mix recipes, there's tons, there's puddings, there's desserts, there's all kinds of things that you can make with it. And so I just wanted to put it out there because it's one of the kind of common things you might see if you're just searching online for how to use powdered milk. And then last, these are some of the brands that, because people were asking like which ones actually don't taste disgusting. And I have a page on our site that links out, there's like a Utah preppers group, and they actually did like a blind taste test of all the powdered milks, which I feel like I've tasted them all, but I never did this like official blind taste test. And they came up with their winners, and the best milk alternative was Morning Moose. There aren't really a lot of other milk alternatives. I think the best non-instant milk was Rainy Day Foods, but I can't find them where to buy them online anymore. The LDS Church has a lot of food storage options online, and they will ship, but I think their non-fat powdered milk is out of stock right now. But it comes in bags, so it comes in cases of bags, but it still has a 20-year shelf life, so that's kind of nice that it's like smaller containers. And so once you open it, you don't have to go through it. The number 10 can, like you got to use it if you open it. So I do like storing, I store some stuff even in buckets, and then I store some in my number 10 cans, and I really do like having the little cans. So if I'm not in a phase of my life where I'm using it every day, And I like to open the little cans for when I have time and want to practice, but I'm not feeling like I'm throwing away a whole can of this that I didn't use in 10 years. So up to you. It's up to how many people are in your family and whether you're cooking more from scratch or, you know, really working on rotating. Whole milk powder. Their Nido is a common brand. I think you can usually get that at like a Hispanic section of a grocery store, and it's just in regular powders. It's not really in bulk, but I did find on Amazon like a Natural Foods brand that had a 5-pound bulk bag. So again, just watch the shelf life on that. Coconut milk powder is the brand on Amazon I saw was Micro Ingredients. I have not tried this. I know some people in our Facebook group, Robin, has tried coconut milk a lot and had some good tips for people there. So it's something that I definitely want to look more into and actually try cooking some of these things. But I don't know if you want coconut flavored cheese. So I'd be interested to know if you're, it might be good for the yogurt actually, but for the cheese, maybe not so much. But dairy-free cheese, interesting. And then buttermilk powder, Hoosier Hill Farm is a brand I saw for that. I've seen some other ones. And then for the instant non-fat milk, I have tried a lot of these, cooked with a lot of these. And Thrive is really the best one that I have found. I really did like their non-fat powdered milk, their non-instant one as well, but they don't make that anymore, unfortunately. So, and that was kind of the whole inspiration for doing this class is because it is a sale on it this month. So it is, I think, $24 for the number 10 can. And if you buy it in a case, it ends up being like $22 per can. And I think my dear friend Krista is going to go over the details of that with you guys. Have you tried ice cream? I saw a thing for using this morning mousse to make ice cream and also magic mix for ice cream. I have not tried it, but you could probably Google it and see. Okay. Is there any other questions here that I missed? I'm just scrolling up a little bit.
Robin wants to know if it's at Walmart and Costco.
Which one?
If any of those are. I'm guessing if
think
any.
I think the morning mousse is because I think August and Farms is at Walmart.
Yes.
I don't know.
I know that one's at Walmart too. I
Yeah.
don't, and Costco usually, sometimes they have the morning mousse. I've seen it there before, but I haven't seen it recently. So, but every Costco is totally different. So it depends on what your area is carrying as well. So I would check them. Also, they have a lot of food storage online too. So
You can
might,
Google it. If you don't like Amazon, you could try just like going straight from the stores, like Emergency Essentials has one, but their brand was like Provident Pantry, which also was good in the taste test, but I don't think they make it anymore. Yeah, a lot of the companies have like gone out of business or sold to each other or changed their branding. So really you got to find, and a lot of it is experimenting. So that's why I like buying a little can, making sure I like that brand before I go buy a bucket of it. So
agreed.
that's kind of my recommendation. So I don't think any other questions. So Mary, the ice cream, I have not tried it, but I should do a blog post on that. I think that would be super fun to try. And now I'm going to turn time over to my Miss Krista, and I'm going to just manage the slides or the questions now. Yay.
Cool. All right, cool. Hi, everyone. Sorry, it's really dark in here for some reason. The sun just went down here. So I'm on the West Coast, by the way, in the desert in Arizona. So yeah, it's kind of dark. Sorry about that, but you can see my cans in the background still. Woo. All right. So how you get the milk? Actually, milk is on sale this month in September at Thrive Life. And if someone invited you to this little webinar, then you can go contact them for more information on how to get it. And I will tell you that if you are buying like in a case or smaller, you should probably less than a case, you should probably buy it this month. If you are looking for maybe a case for your food storage of 6 cans of the number 10 cans, those right there. Wait till next month to buy it because we're actually going to have a case sale going on. Let me share my screen really quick too while I've got this going on. Desktop share. All right. So you guys see that? Let me increase it a little bit here. Oh, okay. So do you guys see that? So yeah, so the instant milk is going to be 25% off in a case form. So not a whole lot of people can actually do cases because they tend to be more expensive because you're buying 6 of the big cans. But if you are storing food and you are working on your food storage, this is definitely something you should take advantage of. 25% off is a good sale. Right now it's 20% off. So if you're needing less than a case, buy it in September before the end of the month, which is Thursday night, 10 p.m. Pacific. That would be 1 a.m. Eastern. So buy it by then if you're going to go ahead and do it that way. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? Let's see. So yeah, this case sale is coming October. So the first couple of weeks in October, we're going to have a case sale. So these are some really good deals, people. So definitely keep an eye open on that. The sweetened cranberries. Oh my gosh, I think I'm going to probably get that. Oh, sorry, squirrel. All right, so moving on. So the other thing that we wanted to mention, let me stop sharing my screen here. Let's see. Nope, that's not what I wanted. New share, pause share. How do I do this? Is that, nope, that's resume share. Where's stop share?
Wherever you click start sharing is.
It says new share now. That's weird. Let's see. I don't want to new share.
I might be able to stop you from sharing.
Why don't you do that then? Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. Woo-hoo. Okay, so the other thing that we wanted to talk to you about tonight is, if you are interested in maybe holding your own class, like maybe let's say you have a huge family or you've got some neighbors and you're doing an HOA event or something, right? And you think that this class might be helpful for them. We will go ahead and get together and you do the organization of it. We'll go ahead and teach it. And then that way you're able to get some free product from if anybody orders from that little show or teaching class or whatever we're doing, right? Because this is really good stuff that people really should know about, right? I learned a lot. I didn't know I could make my own ricotta. I'm totally doing that tomorrow. And Jody, you did awesome tonight. It was awesome. I learned a ton. I've known, some of the buttermilk and a few of those tips and tricks, but I definitely learned some things and I am definitely going to take advantage of my Instapot. So I'm excited for that. So if you're interested in maybe doing a class for friends, family, neighbors, whatever, definitely get a hold of Jody or myself and we will hook you up. So, and I think that's it for me. Got anything else, Jody?
Kat's asking about non-instant and instant. Maybe she missed the first part, but powdered milk is basically milk or dry milk that has had all of the water removed. And yeah, that was the very first thing we talked about. So it's had all of the water removed. And if you process it a little bit further, it breaks the little granules up even further, which makes them easier to reconstitute. And so instant milk, it's kind of like instant rice, where they'll reconstitute faster and easier. It's a little lighter and fluffier. And so you need usually 3 tablespoons of instant powdered milk, instant powder to make 1 cup of milk, whereas a regular non-instant powdered milk will take maybe 2 tablespoons. It's a little bit denser and it's not broken up as much. It's not quite as processed. It is the same process to remove the water. They just do it a little longer, a little more to make it an instant milk. Hope that helps. And I will send replays. I will try tonight. If not, I will get it tomorrow. I know everyone wants it right after, but sometimes it takes me a second to put it all together. So you can watch it again. And I actually showed mixing up the instant and the non-instant so you could see the difference. So a non-instant milk will be a little bit clumpy. And actually I read another article that says it is better. It's better than instant if you let it sit overnight because all the granules will absorb and it gets more of the rich milk flavor. But I never want to wait 8 hours. When I run out of milk, it's because I run out of milk and I need it right then. So
can I just say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm not one of those. I will not sit or go into the fridge and choose milk as a beverage. I'm not that girl, right? I'm a picky eater anyway, but milk is, I will have it on cereal with a brownie or a chocolate chip cookie, right? And I like it in a
Graham
cold frosted mug, right? That's the only way I drink a glass of milk. So I'm not a huge milk fan. So if you are that person, just forget it all and just buy Thrive's instant milk, because I actually did that for my oatmeal yesterday morning. I opened my can of instant milk for my oatmeal and it actually tastes like real milk. The powdered milk I still think is still grosser than gross. And I'm very glad that Thrive doesn't sell it anymore. So if you're one of those milk drinkers like me, definitely just go that route. Just save yourself the hassle and the money and go
It's
with the
funny, 'cause it's got the same nutritional content, the same everything.
It does,
It's
but
just
it doesn't
processed
taste the same.
slightly longer. I think it's lighter and fluffier. So,
Mhm.
yeah, and just you guys, I would encourage you, like, if you like the classes and you think your friends would want to do the classes, like, reach out to us. Like, I'll put this
Yeah.
on again for you and 10 friends or whatever. And if they want to buy some milk or go in on a case with you, like, you can get earn free product. So I think, I mean, look at Krista's Thrive behind her. Like, she earned so much of that for free just by teaching people how to be prepared. So, you know, it's like, why not? Why not do a class, teach people about powdered milk, teach people about meals in a jar? There's all kinds of things that we can do. So if there's classes you want from us, let us know. If there's classes you want to put on for people, like, we can throw on a Zoom or a Facebook party or whatever for you and your friends. So just let us know.
Yep.
And if you want to take advantage of those sales, like Krista said, if you're thinking like just a can or two, I would grab that this month because the milk's on sale this month. If you're thinking of doing a whole case or splitting a case, then I would wait until next month and do it along with the case, the rest of the case sales. So I think that's going to be a great idea. Okay. I have done some classes. The meal in a jar class I have recorded as well, Mary. So I think you might have been on that one. But yeah, I usually like to do them live. I think the meal in a jar one, my computer died in the middle of it. So, you know, I'm not that professional. I haven't done like professional live video classes, but I like to have the, you know, live interactive questions. I think it works better that way for people, and showing actually cooking in person is easier, and people are more invested when they've hopped on to watch you live because they think they're going to watch a class later and never get around to it. So if they think they're going to miss it, then they make sure to hop on. So if you're interested in some of the old ones, I can send them to you, Mary. Just message me on Facebook. And again, if there's anything you guys want to learn more about, I know we've done wheat grinder stuff. We do a lot of meal in a jars. So maybe a bread baking class would be fun next. I don't know. We'll see. All right. If there's no more questions, I'll give you guys like 2 minutes to answer to ask any more questions. You can shout them out or text chat them. Otherwise, I got a big mess to clean up. Look at this. Oh my gosh. And I think my teenagers are messy. I'm the messy one.
Thanks, Jody. You did a great job.
You're so welcome, you guys. You know, sorry I'm a little frantic and forgot my butter, but
I don't-
shin guard emergency today.
I would like to see some meal in a jar because that's really good for busy moms, and that's who I work with.
Oh yeah. Who? Let's see. I don't see who you are.
HD 92392 Denise.
Okay. Do you have? Can you text me or message me on Facebook, and I'll send you my class I did?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
What can I just text you because I don't really use Facebook?
Yeah. Whatever's easiest. However you got your invite, just text me.
All right.
And I do meal in a jars a lot. I do a new meal every month, so it's something I definitely am big into. So, all right, ladies, any other questions? You guys have a wonderful evening. Let me know if this time is good for people. We could try to do daytime, but I think evenings usually a little easier. So, all right, I'm gonna sign off.
All righty. Thank you.